Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Most High, and spoke, saying, I will sing unto the Most High, for he has triumphed gloriously. For the horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. The Most High is my strength and song, and he has become my salvation. He is my creator, and I will prepare him a habitation, my father's creator, and I will exalt him. The Most High is a man of war. The Most High is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and his host has he cast into the sea. His chosen captains also are drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them, they sank into the bottom as a stone. Thy right hand, O Hawa, is become glorious in power. Thy right hand, O Hawa, has dashed into pieces the enemy. And in greatness of thy excellency thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sentest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble. And with the blast of thy nostrils the waters were gathered together, the flood stood upright as an heap, and the depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue you, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil, my lust shall be satisfied upon them. I will draw my sword, my hand shall destroy them. Thou didst blow with thy wind, the sea covered them, they sank as lead in the mighty waters. Who is like unto thee, O Hawa, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praise, doing wonders? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallowed them. Thou in thy mercy hast led forth the people, which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast guided them in thy strength unto the holy habitation. The people shall hear and be afraid. Sorrow shall take hold on the inhabitants of Palestine. Then the dukes of Edom shall be amazed. The mighty men of Moab trembling shall take hold upon them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall melt away. Fear and dread shall fall upon them by the greatness of thine arm. They shall be as still as a stone, till thy people pass over, O Hawa, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountain of thy inheritance, in the place, O Hawa, which thou hast made for thee to dwell in sanctuary. O Hawa, which thy hands have established, the Most High shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh went in with his chariots and his horsemen into the sea, and Hawa the Most High brought again the waters of the sea upon them, and the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam, the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, Sing you unto the Most High, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider he has thrown into the sea. Sing unto the Most High, Hawa. Sing unto the Most High, children of Israel. Sing. Shalom, shalom to the tribe. Shalom to the tribe. Yeah. It's definitely been, a good minute. It's definitely been a good minute, but we're going to pick right back up where we left off like nothing ever happened. Much aloha to everybody out there giving me, you know, that great positive energy. Shout out to everybody, you know, that's just been supportive along the way. And it's just nothing but appreciation this way from, you know, from the core of my being. I appreciate you, you know, real talk. I can't express it enough. You know what I'm saying? Definitely got more for you guys. But this one right here is for the very, very, very patient and diligent, loyal students out there that's just been, you know, waiting to get in the classroom. Much high for your patience. I appreciate every second of it. And yeah, without further ado, we're gonna just, you know, dive nose, face, bone straight into this. Alright, and all I ask is that, you know, everyone keep, you know, an open mind, of course. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, pay attention and try to keep up as much as possible. You know, I ask that you leave the fear out. Leave the fear out. As we continue forward, leave the fear out. Alright? And much appreciation to all the tribe. To all the tribe. To all the tribe. Alright? It's a beautiful thing. And I just want to start off by saying that, you know, I really believe that, you know, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. We were, you know, all meant to come together for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate everyone out there listening, you know, and I know, you know, I got some viewers out there that don't necessarily partake in the scripts, you know what I'm saying? But I can only speak on from my behalf and, you know, and for those, you know, on the same frequency as me. And I tell you, you know, straight up, the way you would, you know, marvel a science book or, you know, something of extreme importance that has the majority of your answers in a critical thinking sense. You know what I'm saying? This would be that equivalent. Not the translation in itself, because we already know the translation is piss. But the whole point is, you know, when you dig far enough and you get the answer, you know, as long as we're in this language called English, you know, which is not necessarily anything wrong with it, but it just comes with its snares and traps. That's all I'm saying. And coming up in, you know, the society that we live in, we weren't given the etymology to things. We was given program definitions. So as we, you know, grow outside this program by, you know, releasing the fear, right? By releasing the fear, then, you know, we can start to see things and take a certain control. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and jump into it. I gotta give a special shout out to the tribe. Nicole B, I appreciate you. You know, you and your loved ones and everything that you just been, you know, pushing out constantly. You know what I'm saying? We getting back to the presentation, and I'm just gonna share a message that, you know, of course, you know, she shared with me, and it's basically the source of this drop that we're getting into today. All right, and we'll start it off like this. She put, "Hey again, I'm watching your Library of Ancient Trees video, and I thought of a few things that I wanted to share. Number one was the Hibiru language of light found on the petroglyphs around the world. I've actually seen the Anasazi Petroglyphs in Arizona. I went deep into a canyon, took a canoe, then hiked inside the canyon to find them. Anyway, when you're talking about how our people didn't record things in writing, I thought about this link I found a while back. It talks about the language that predates Hebrew, which was a light-based language, on how certain tones could create light in open dimensions. they wrote the sounds down in glyphs, petroglyphs. Then I thought about how our people even to this day are more inclined to music than books. Alright. So yeah, much aha to you, tribe. For real, much aha. And if you haven't seen that last drop, go ahead and get it. It's the one right before Timeless. Alright. It's the excuse me, Flashing Sword of Levi. Alright. So go ahead and check that out, because we basically are picking up from right where we left off. Alright. And we're gonna go ahead and continue. As you can see, we've been staring at one of the, actually this what has been reported to be the oldest petroglyph in Nevada. Alright, and it was brought to my attention by Tribe Kenya. Appreciate you. Another one of the, loyal, surfers of this wave that we've been have going on since the beginning. Alright. Shout out to everyone that's been on this wave since the beginning. And yeah, it's a definitely a tribe effort. And like I said, you know what I'm saying, none of this is randomly put together. Everything happens for a reason. Alright? Everything happens for a reason. So with that being said, we're looking at the reported oldest petroglyph in the so-called United States. This is in Nevada. Alright? And it dates back to between so-called 10,000 15,000 years. This petroglyph. So yeah, let's see what we can get into. Also want to put out there, just for everybody tuning in and watching, of course, if you haven't checked out the Bros Teaches, last couple of drops, I would suggest you go back and, catch those to refreshing up of, your memory. If you're on point, you're on point. And we're going to go ahead and continue. All right. Now, what we have right here is, called the language of light, of course, right? With many ancient sites and artifacts being uncovered around the globe and the assistance of our modern day computer era and internet, it has become increasingly apparent how many similarities arise when researching ancient texts and symbols, raising the question of its origins and original meanings. Throughout the world, ancient texts and symbols in the form of rock carvings, hieroglyphs, petroglyphs, and the alike are gradually being discovered. Many identical symbols have been found in countries situated at vast distances from each other. Although not all of the symbols found across the globe are an exact copy of each other, the striking similarities leave one with the assumption that all languages trace back to a single common source, the parent civilization. In many parts of the world, archaeologists and researchers are uncovering this archaic form of Sanskrit, now recognized as a precursor to all known languages in every region where they are found. Translations and grammar suggest a global human culture thrived in antiquity, right? And it gives us this breakdown, right? It says in the Sinai language has been given the name Old Negev, right? For centuries in Australia, it has been known by the name of whatever that would be, right? And then it says it has been misrepresented as Native American Indian Sign Language in the Americas. All right. It says the language and grammar are now understood to be Proto-Canaanite and appear to have roots in common with Egyptian and Hebrew. The petroglyphs successfully translate to English using an Old Hebrew dialect in all three locations. All right. So that's a body bag within itself right here, okay? Because like I just said, all of these sounds are connected, right, through the language. Now, if you've been following this channel, if you've been, used to my work, especially, shout out to everybody that's on the Instagram, you know what I'm saying? Everybody that's on that wave, you know how I'm real big on phonetics. You know what I'm saying? You know how the tribe is real big on phonetics. All right. So all we've been trying to tell you is to get on your phonetics, right? Because there's a vibration in the tone in which you speak. All right. Now, we use these scriptures, or at least, you know, a few of us, we use these scriptures to uncode or decode a lot. Now, a lot of people scoff and laugh, and a lot of people want to say, oh, you know, this book and that book, but, you know, none of that matters, because it's only about those who can translate what's necessary and, you know, put the message out for what it is. And that's that. All right. And there's a lot of things to be, you know, decoded and uncovered and basically remembered. That's the whole point. All of this is to be remembered, all right, because it's already in the genetics. So we're going to continue. It says evidence of the antiquity of this script in both America and Australia suggests this root language may predate that of the Hebrews. The team who made this discovery suggests using an unbiased name such as the first tongue to avoid any presumptuous or presumptive association with a specific people or era. The content of translations, although not complete, suggests a common culture and spiritual belief system. Alright? So key points right here that we're keying in on. Alright? We're going to go ahead and continue. As we can see, there are different depictions of these, you know, so-called petroglyphs, right? Displaying this, what they're calling the language of light, which they're saying, you know, has Egyptian and, you know, Hebraic roots. All right. And, you can see they're found all over the place, right? In certain spots, that is. Right. So, we're going to go ahead and continue on. All right, let's go. All right. So here we have, or the author of this article basically, you know, became a believer in the scripture, right? And, I think this is Genesis 9 verses 1 through 9, right? But we're going to just read what they've got right here. And it says that, and the whole land was of one language and one speech. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And the Most High said, behold, the people are one, and they have all one language. Go to, let us go down in there and confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Most High scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth. All right. So, as we'll see, this is their findings, right, of different symbols found all across the earth, right, and just different symbols that basically mean the same thing. This is what they're saying, all right. And it says that the lost Enochian language reveals the mother tongue as a language of light, known to the ancients as Hibiru, right? Hibiru. It is the primal seed language introduced at the beginning of this time cycle. The alphabetic forms emerge from luminous flare patterns of the brain. It is a true language of light coursing through our very nervous system. All right. Now dig on that. He said that it's an alphabetic form that emerges from luminous flare patterns of the brain. It is a true language of light coursing through our very nervous system. All right. Our very nervous system. All right. It says that Hebrew is a harmonic language mimicking the waveform properties of light. The keys Enoch speaks of turn out to be sound keys to be vibratory matrix of reality itself. The Enochian knowledge describes sonic equations encoded with the ancient mantras and god names capable of directly affecting the nervous system and creating a profound effect of healing and higher states of consciousness. All right. Now, everything's going to, have its hijacks. As we see certain things, don't get stuck in what I'm reading. All right. We got to continue on and push on. All right. Because there's information in all of this, but you can't get spooked because there's no spookism. All right. I mean, there is no spook. They've called you black this entire time. As far as we know, that's the only, version, right? So there's no reason to trip out. Okay. And it says, according to the legend, according to the legend, the science of spiritual liberation, also known as alchemy, illumination, enlightenment, transfiguration, or ascension, was a gift to humanity from the previous civilizations. The old ones with the purpose of embodied liberation of the human soul, whereby one's evolutionary soul consciousness is accelerated to completion. The science of transformation was the highest value knowledge and the ultimate test of the human experience to the ancients. Suppression by orthodox religion has fragmented the truth and forced the knowledge underground into mystery schools and secret societies. All right. It says it has been referred to as a perennial philosophy, or the underground stream of knowledge, due to its hidden nature encoded in symbols, myths, and scripture. All right. So this is what we're talking about. All right. Uncovering this. Okay. Which is embedded in the scripture. All right. But you got to be able to what? See it for what it is. And you can't be caught up in the fear. All right. No doubt. You can't get caught up in the fear, because they hid things from you on purpose. All right. And the more you dig in English and stay in English, and you have this English sense of pride, it actually minimizes your understanding a whole great deal, because you haven't even explored English deep enough. All right. So until you go into the language itself and figure out what's really being said, and really put it into perspective, and, line it up with just everything you accumulate, all the evidence accumulated in your research, line everything up. It's not just, this one particular spot has all the drop. Nah, you got to put, it's like a collage. All right. It's a big ass puzzle. You got to put this all together. All right. That's just how it is. Okay. But we see right here that it has been misrepresented as so-called Native American Indian Sign Language in the Americas, right? The language and grammar are now understood to be Proto-Canaanite and appear to have roots in the common Egyptian and Hebrew, right? The petroglyphs successfully translate to English using an old Hebrew dialect in all three locations. All right, and we're talking about the parent civilization, the Hibiru, the language of light. Let's continue. All right, so, to go ahead and back up this language of the light, we are now getting to what? The language of the birds. And if this doesn't strike anything, you should be thinking of Israel Redemption right now, right? Because her book, she was saying that our language is the language of the birds. So let's dig on this, right? It says the language of the birds, known as the green language or the language of the gods, embraces Kabbalah, astrology, alchemy, and the tarot, right? Its grammar is symbolism, holographic symbolism, when properly understood. The language of the birds was considered a secret and perfect language, and the key to perfect knowledge. It assists with the ascension of human consciousness in the alchemy of time. Thoth, the Egyptian bird-headed god, scripted with the languages of our reality to be viewed as symbolic messages through the ages and finally brought to light at the end of the cycles of time. All right. And I just want to make mention, you know what I'm saying? Tribe member, right? Tribe member of ours has just, you know, basically connected this whole Kemet Egyptian hieroglyph symbology, to which you would consider to be predominantly African, right, to all the animals of America. All right, he's on YouTube as a Trace-Soteric, Trace-Soteric, right? Sorry, I was caught off on that siren. But his name on YouTube is Trace-Soteric. I'll go ahead and drop a link. You know, y'all can surf that. But really, really interesting perspective, because all the animals that you're seeing, you know, basically posted up in these so-called African Egyptian hieroglyphs are depictions of American animals. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind as we're dealing on this language of the birds. Okay, it says that it was also, right, it was also the language of the Freemasons. All the initiates expressed themselves in cant, right? The language / art of light is derived from the language of the birds, which seems to be a sort of language taught by both so-called Jesus and the ancients, right? The history of the world can't see to originally have referred to the chanting of friars. Characteristics of cant are found in a few dialects such as Picard and the Provenical and the languages of the Gypsies. Okay, so it's just a little breakdown right here, right? And keep in mind how, you know, they made reference to the language of the Freemasons, because all of this stuff is the reason why they call it the occult, or the reason why it's so called hidden, right? And it's because basically you're just not informed, right? You're in ill knowledge of it, right? It says Greek and Coptic writings in Alexandria, the Old Testament scrolls, even the early teachings of Clement of Alexandria, and throughout most Oriental literature reveal references to systems of measurement, systems of vibration, and systems of light consciousness. All right. So that's what we were digging on as far as this ancient wisdom of the ancestors articles, right? Being the light, the language of light, and the language of the birds. All right, which is, you know, pretty much the source of Israel Redemption's work right here, right? So we're gonna go ahead and continue on. All right, so here's an article I came across, right? And it's basically the quote from what we just read, saying the language of light, the alphabetic forms emerge from luminous flare patterns of the brain. It is a true language of light coursing through our very nervous system, right? And then you see the patterns up here that they give you. Now, you know, when I was looking at this, I automatically thought right away, like, bam, oh, 432, right? Bam, and hit me again, right? 432, bang. It's just, you know, all day. Try, right? Everything is in consistency, right? It all coincides. So as you can see in these patterns, every pattern, every meeting point of every shape coincides with the next thing or pattern next to it. Okay, this is harmony. All right, this is a language. All right, the language is the vibration, and this vibration is what they're referring to as the Hibiru, right? The root, right? The root, right, is where they're saying that Hebrew stems from. Okay, so I just wanted that to, you know, set in your mind one time as you see it, because like I'm saying, everything happens for a reason. All right. And, you know, folks, you know, can't necessarily gel everything all together. So hopefully this presentation can help. As you can see, we're building on an ancient language that's helping us connect to, you know, this world around us, right? Especially to, you know, these things that they want to refer to as so-called petroglyphs. We're really now starting to, you know, basically realize that they're forms of writing, all right, in life form, in pure life form. So we're going to go ahead and continue. But this, you know, actually made me, you know, think of something. Oh man, they always want to jump up and get us, right? Yes, sure. This actually made me think of something, right? It made me think of a point that I was telling the bro Teach. You know, I had made mention to him, you know, I uncovered something about well, let's just go ahead and get into it. So I was, you know, basically telling him how I came across the Conifer Cone. When I took my trip up to Sequoia, you know, oh man, I probably had to, you know, basically put together a little slideshow of the pics for y'all on here as well. I might as well. I haven't thought about it, but you know, it just hit me right now. The trees up there were amazing. That's basically my point. Okay. And I came across all kinds of pine cones, okay, and it started to hit me that it's only a certain kind of tree that produces these cones, and they're called coniferous because of the conifer cone, right? They're connected by the cone, and this is how they reproduce, okay? So I was up there and I was realizing this, and as we'll see, right, as we see, it says the cone is an organ on plants, right, in the division of conifers that contains the reproductive structures. It says the familiar woody cone is the female cone, right, which produces seeds, right? The male cones, which produce pollen, right, are usually herbaceous and much less conspicuous even at full maturity. The name cone derives from the fact that the shape in some species resembles a geometric cone. All right. The individual plates of a cone are known as scales. All right. Keep that in mind. Now it says the name of the cone derives from the fact that the shape, right, in some species resembles a geometric cone, right? And when we're looking at the article, this is a geometric shape. So do you see what's going on? All right. Now, I wasn't going to necessarily bring this up because the whole reason that I had this article even in play was for the next drop we're going to be getting into, which is basically this info on the misnomered Olmec, right? I got some drop on the Olmec coming up right after this one, and I'm basically understanding why, you know, some of them had the cone heads, and why basically, you know, these some of these cultures practice that. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and get into the next one. Let's go. Now, you know, we were reading that the alphabetic forms emerge from luminous flare patterns of the brain, right? Luminous flare patterns of the brain. Luminous flare patterns of the brain, the 432, right? This is what I'm keying in on right here, okay? Keep this in mind. So when we come to the cone, what is a cone, right? A cone from what? The conifer cone, right? Or the conifer cone. We're back at the cone, right? A cone is a three-dimensional geometric shape, right, that tapers smoothly from a flat base, frequently though not necessarily circular, to a point called the apex or vertex. Okay, keep that in mind. The apex or vertex. Okay. Now, that right there is already explaining why I was able to jump through that, right? But it says a cone is formed by a set of line segments, half lines, or lines connecting a common point to, or a common point, sorry, the apex to all of the points on a base that is in a plane that does not contain the apex. Okay, so we're talking about a flat surface. Okay, a flat surface. Depending on the author, the base may be restricted to be a circle, any one-dimensional, quadratic form in the plane, any enclosed one-dimensional figure, or any of the above, plus all the enclosed points. If the enclosed points are included in the base, the cone is a solid object. Otherwise, it is a two-dimensional object in a three-dimensional space. In the case of a solid object, the boundary formed by these lines or partial lines is called lateral surface. If the lateral surface is unbounded, it is a conical surface. Okay? This is basically why they built pyramids. See? A cone with a polygonal base is called a pyramid. This is why they built pyramids. Okay? Because we're talking about what? It's a harnessing of energy when you really think about it. This is how you maximize your energy. The apex and the vertex, okay? When you want to maximize your energy, look at what's going on. So imagine the head shaping, okay? And then when you go back to this article and you're realizing that they were maybe speakers of this language of light, that, you know, the alphabetic forms were luminous flare patterns of the brain, you can only imagine why they would want to practice in this head binding, this head wrapping, all right? And they basically did it off the respect, the reverence of the Conifer Cone, right? And then again, when we're digging on these cedar trees, right? Look, the members of the pine family, pines, spruces, firs, cedars, and larches, all right, have cones that are imbricate, all right? These are cones. All right, this is what we're talking about. And so, as you'll see in the presentation that I got coming up dealing with the so-called Olmec, this is why they and other cultures practice this head wrap, or this binding of the head. All right, because it was respect to the geometric shape, right? Because we're talking about a language. They're giving respect to the vibration, the 4-3-2 harmony, right? That goes right back to the creator. That's what we're talking about. Never mind the hijack. Get the hijack out your mind. All right? Get the hijack out your mind right now. We come to slay that shit. All right? Wakey, wakey. We on to the next one. All right, so here we have the Hibiru tribes, right? The Hibiru tribes. It says the Hibiru hosting tribes are the 12 original Hebrew tribes that incarnated into the area of the planet known as Israel today. All right, but we know where Israel is today. All right. All right. None of this modern hijack shit. We know where Israel is today. So this is who the Hibiru tribes are. All right. And the Hibiru tribes are the ones who possess this language of the light. All right. And even when you get into Peleg, I think it's in Jubilees, and you understand that Peleg was unique because Peleg never lost the language. All right. He retained it. All right, Peleg and, the ones that came after him were able to, keep it. They kept the language, never lost it, not once. Okay, so it says the Torah, right, traces the Israelites to the patriarch Jacob, grandson of Abraham, who was renamed Israel. Right, Jacob's 12 sons in order of birth: Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin became the ancestors of the 12 tribes. All right, it says the seeding of these tribes was an attempt by the Melchizedek host races to repair genetic digression on the planet. Right, and what has this channel been about? Right, what has this channel been about? Right, let's carry on. It says the Hibiru tribes are the higher dimensional genetic codings of the Melchizedeks that were given the responsibility to help rehabilitate hybridization DNA damage during the last evolutionary cycle after the Nephilim Wars. Alright? What have we been talking about this entire time on this channel? Alright? Like I said, we're going to be picking back up like we didn't, leave off from anywhere. Alright? Shout out to the tribe. I hope you're awake. I hope you're doing warm. Doing well, I mean. Shalom. I'm all caught up in my speech. But, yeah, that's just something to, think about. All right. It says scrambling DNA language, right? The Melchizedeks are of the 12 tribe lineages of the Hebrew tribes, right? Who were given the genetic hosting responsibility to assist the embodiment of the higher DNA language called Hibiru, right? The language is a genetic code which originated from the cradle of whatever they want to call this, all right? I'm not going to jump into all of that, all right? But I'm just, sharing with you what this source says, okay? Now, here's, as we continue, I want to share with you this important, point right here. It says the Melchizedek lines were attempting to salvage this ancient language of humanity on the earth, which was intrinsic to protecting the memories of the histories of humanity and time codes, also known as vector codes. Okay, which is important because anybody that does printing of any, embroidery or anything like that, about vector files, right? And you understand that the vector files are the files that basically produce the image of what you're trying to put on your clothing, right? So it controls everything. So these vector codes are basically the codes that are within the body, right? That are activated and basically turned on by this language of light that, the Hibrus had, right? It says, upon the Luciferian rebellion, the Melchizedek lines became infiltrated by the Luciferian forces through the religious promotion of Yahweh. Alright? I mean, this is where all the confusion is coming from. Alright? This is why the tribe don't necessarily know what's going on, and they some folks feel a certain innate to want to be a certain way, and it's a bunch of hijack everywhere because the religion aspect of basically what they want to refer to as the Luciferian forces. All right, now there's a lot of these guys being brought up right now all over the tube and wherever else there's videos being promoted about these things, but I mean, it's out, all right? So it's not hard to really put this into perspective. And then basically when we're looking at the hijack, there is no hijack bigger than the promotion of the religion of Yahweh. All right, this Yadabah, right? Real talk. All right, so we are of the fire, right, and the water at the same time without this Yahweh. Alright, so you got to get out of the hijack of the religion that's been promoted to you this entire time since these so-called Luciferians showed up. It says the primary infiltration was from the patriarchal Melchizedeks, who developed a misogynist bent based on the distortions in the Sophenic body. Alright? Which is really just wisdom. When you go into the studies of Sophia, right? The wisdom. That's basically what it is. All right. And, they want to switch everything as if, they are a part of this ancient story. And they're not. I'm showing you proof right now. You've seen the so-called hijack years, right? Look at these years. They're not even around this time. All right. So that's just the truth. Okay. Even more so as we're, digging on the actual hijack, right? The actual hijack. This is why, all right? And it's telling you right here that the Hibirus had the true teachings of wisdom, right? And then it got hijacked with the Luciferian religious promotion of Yahweh. Do your research. All right? We're not going to go backward. We're going forward. So, you know, as you can see, it became, you know, the illusion of inequality between the gender principle. All right? This is what did it. All right? So I'm bringing this out, you know, along with, you know, the sisters that helped me get here. Once again, shout out to Nicole B. And as I said, this is a tribe thing, because my bros know about this info too. Shout out to getting to the root. All right. And then when we get back to this, right? Look, I mean, it's what we're digging on. 432. Okay. And we're starting to understand what head bindings, right? Why they gave reverence to the cones, because we're talking about these cedars, right? I mean, we got it all right here so far, right? It says the Hibiru language, right? The lost Enochian knowledge reveals the mother tongue as a language of light, known to the ancients as Hibiru. It is the primal seed language introduced at the beginning of this time cycle, right? Time cycle. Keep that in mind, right? Time cycle. Modern research confirms the most ancient form Hebrew to be a natural language, right? The most ancient form. We're talking about the Hibiru, right? The alphabetic forms emerging from the phosphine flare patterns of the brain. The same shapes, in fact, born of a spinning vortex. All right? It is true. It is a true language of light coursing through our very nervous system. All right? I mean, your DNA is in a spiral, right? Everything about continuance of the continual of life is it deals with the spiral, just like your hair, right? You got the curly hair, you got the spirally hair, the springy hair, right? We are supposed to be in the so-called season of spring, right? The spiral, where life starts to spin. And when it's spinning, it's alive, right? When we get back to this cone, you see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? The apex, the vertex. Okay? This is what we're talking about. But these are bases that have to be built off what? Structure, right? A plane. You see what's going on? Ancient mathematics, all of that coming back at once. Alright? So, you know, we're going to go ahead and carry on. Let's go. Just after the deluge, at the dawn of the present time cycle, and an era the Egyptians called Zep Tepi, the first times, right? Zep Tepi in the Egyptian language means the first times, right? Because we're talking about the language of light, right? It says a mysterious group of gods, right, appeared to the initiate, to the survivors of the rudiments of civilization. It says from Thoth and Osiris in Egypt to Quetzalcoatl and Viracocha in the Americas. All right. Traditions worldwide ascribe the origins of our contemporary civilization to this sophisticated group. Evidence from around the world indicates these people were the high-tech remnants of the previous humanity. Like the nuclear survivor bunkers and secret research facilities of our own civilization, right? Of our own civilization, there were those who arose from the underground cities of the gods after the dust had settled, right? They were the pre-Diluvian patriarchs like Enoch and Methuselah, right? The giants and heroes of old mentioned in Genesis. All right, so keep that in mind. All right, because I know this would sound crazy to you, right? Those who came from the underground, right? But dig on this, right? I'm gonna hit pause. When we come and dig on the autochton, right? The autochton, one sprung from the soil he inhabits, right? One sprung from the soil he inhabits, right? Sprung from the land itself. This is telling you, right? Those who are of the old civilization, those who arose from the underground, right? I'm just saying, all right? Keep that in mind. All right, and where did I want to get into? I'll find this spot. Right here. All right, it said, well, let's get it from right here. Remarkable caches of records and artifacts are rumored to have been found. This legacy of a civilization advanced beyond our own was capable of creating a vast underground city of which the Sphinx and pyramids are merely the surface markers. It has been likened to the impact of contact with an advanced extraterrestrial culture and described as a discovery of the Fort Ruth culture, the so-called Atlantean civilization destroyed by the last Earth upheaval. All right. So we talking about Atlantis now, right? Because we didn't make the connection. If proven correct, this discovery presents an unequivocal evidence that all languages, cultures, and religions trace back to a single common source, the parent civilization. Once again, right? A culture who cracked the genetic code and possessed the keys of the physical spectrum, the higher light physics of the ancients, everything old Gilgamesh went searching for in his famous trek to the lost cities of the gods, to search the tunnels beneath Mount Mushu or Shasta, right, in the desert lands. It says the great pre-scientist of the previous time cycle named Enoch, who was associated with the building of the Great Pyramid Complex and a grand spiritual science described as a genetic stairway to the stars, remembered as Jacob's Ladder. Enoch is the pre-Diluvian patriarch, one of the most famous and seminal characters of the previous time cycle, father of Methuselah and great-grandfather of Noah. Enoch is credited in the Bible as the architect of the original Zion, the legendary city of Yahweh. All right? So remember, this is what they're trying to tell you. This is where the confusement comes in, because they hijacked you with what? This Yahweh. All right? When you, I mean, we got the drop on Quetzalcoatl. I'm going to be sharing with y'all soon. All right? The fan that's been on the Instagram know what I'm talking about. They seen that story that I posted up, right? We got the drop on the way. All right. It says that he is also remembered as an inventor of the alphabet and calendar and history's first astronaut. All right. History's first astronaut who is taken aloft by the Most High and shown the secrets of the earth and heaven before returning home with weights and measures for all humankind. Now, keep that in mind, all right? Because we're going to lose this hijack of Yahweh. But please, pause this real quick, read this little section 2-3 times, and then we're going to continue, all right? Let's go. All right. We have so-called Mayan astronaut, right? I mean, what do we get, right? Now, it said he is also remembered as the inventor of the alphabet and calendar and history's first astronaut who is taken, all right? Who is taken, okay? History's first astronaut, history's first calendar, history's first alphabet, all right? I mean, I'm not messing around with y'all, all right? I come to, you know, slay the hijack once and for all. Alright? With the inspiration of the tribe, by the will of the Most High. Because I didn't come up with this. Alright? I've been walking around and it's been almost like dizzy spells. I just hear this woof, and alright. I've been away because I've been, you know, hijacked at this job. You know what I mean? They had me locked down from 4 to 3 in the morning in overtime if need be. And I mean, it's tough because I'm still trying to manage my in between, which is why I was thinking about, you know, even doing a GoFundMe, but this is just out of love, a hive. Alright, this is just all out of a hive, like it's always been. It's always been that way. It's gonna continue to stay that way. But this is just how it hits me. Alright, and the natural, you know, revelation that I pick up, I'm sharing it with y'all because it's time. Alright, Shalom. So, I mean, you can see, right? You can see what I see, and it ain't hard to tell. You know what I mean? All right. So, you know, it just really took me there, right? And I know when, you know, you have to see the so-called city of the gods, right? So-called city of the gods in Mexico, all right, as the original Zion. All right, keep that in mind. All right. And we're going to go ahead and, you know, get to the next one. Let's go. All right. I wanted to bring you guys to this link. They had something, you know, interesting. We're going to bypass all of this because, you know, we've basically read pretty much, you know, all of this already. But I want to start you guys from about right here. All right. And it says, encoding a natural waveform geometries of the physical world, Hibiru is a harmonic language mimicking the waveform properties of light. The keys Enoch speaks of turn out to be key sounds, right? Keys to be vibratory matrix of reality itself. The mythic power of the world, the Enochian knowledge describes sonic equations encoded within the ancient mantras and god names, all right, capable of directly affecting the nervous system and producing profound effect of healing and higher consciousness states. DNA, the ancient Kabbalistic tree portrayed in the biblical Torah, is now coming to be viewed as a live vibrating structure rather than a fixed tape recording. Many modern scientists regard DNA as a shimmering waveform configuration, able to be modified by light, radiation, magnetic fields, or sonic pulses. So this is the so-called charge, all right? When we talking about the charge and, you know, getting to the sun and letting that sun hit your skin and you photosynthesize and you're actually letting your molecular structure on the inside of you take place in the natural form to get in line. I was, you know, watching this video a while back. I think it was by Phil Valentine, right? And he was saying that information, right? Your cells, your blood, the veins, the way they flow, that's information coming directly from light because everything is in form, all right? And when you're in form, which is aligned properly, then you are informed, okay? And that's how it works, by light, right? And you being the being of the original stock, already you should know what this channel is about, all right? Now, it says the legacy of Thoth, or so-called Enoch, suggests this language of light, the harmonic science of the ancients, could actually affect DNA, right? It says the evidence in Egypt indicates this was the grand 6,000-year genetic experiment attempted by the Egyptians. I mean, like I said, we're picking up from where we left off, right? The quest for immortality in the stars, a quest described by the great ones of old, a quest initiated by Gilgamesh long ago. The Egyptians were not fixated on the afterlife as thought by early Christian translators, but focused on creating a higher type of human. All right. It says this also links with biogenetic engineering, cloning, and alien experiments. Along with many ancient cultures, they believed DNA came from the stars and was destined to return and transform. All right. And there's more in here. I'm not going to go ahead and continue, but there's breakdown, right? Talking about that where phoenix comes from, right? Where the word phoenix comes from. But keep this in mind, because we've been digging on this entire time on this channel, right? The evidence of this, right? Which explains the fall. I mean, obviously, right? Obviously. All right. So, that's that. And we're going to go ahead and get to the next one. All right, here's this word called tecton, right? I wanted to bring to your attention because it reminds me of autochton, right? I mean, that's just this is just the way my mind works. I'm showing you how my mind works, all right? So bear with me. This word tecton, right? It is a common term for an artisan, craftsman, in particular a carpenter or woodworker or builder. It says this term is frequently contrasted with an ironworker or smith and the stoneworker or mason. All right. So it can mean stonemason or a builder or a carpenter or an artisan or a craftsman. All right. Excuse me. And as we see, right, they have different breakdowns in the Septuagint. I want to bring your attention down to right here, right? Because it was used in the New Testament, tecton, as you see, right, as an employment of so-called Jesus, right? But I want to bring you to something interesting, because in the Hebrew interpretation, right? Excuse me. In the Hebrew interpretation, the Septuagint in the Greek noun, right? The tecton either stands for the generic Hebrew noun, korash, right? Or koresh as craftsman, right? Or tecton as a word rendering koresh is, or whatever that would be, right? A craftsman of the woods. It says that the term koresh occurs 33 times in the Masoretic text, right, of the Hebrew Bible. It says, as an alternative, some authors have speculated that the Greek term corresponds to the Aramaic term nagara, right? Hebrew nagar, as craftsman. And I thought to myself, like, that's a Hebrew word, nagar, like straight up. You know what I'm saying? You see how they do you with the flip of the words? Call you a nagger, right? This entire time, right? Nagger. Hey, you nagger. You know what I'm saying? The entire time, right? The entire time. Nagger, right? Now, they say that it's supposedly not found in anywhere of the biblical Aramaic or Hebrew in documents in New Testament. And I can understand why, because this would be a big ass problem if Hebrews was walking around reading this transliterated version of nagar, meaning craftsman, right? But let's take this deeper, because it doesn't necessarily mean just craftsman, all right? And we're going to go ahead and take it further so you can see what I mean. But as we take this further, once again, please leave your fear at the doorstep. All right. Use your feet, dust it off real quick on that dust mat. You know what I'm saying? And as you step inside the natural zone, leave the fear outside. Alright, here we have the Hebrew Nagar, right? Nagar. Straight up. Nagar, right? H5064. Nagar. It says it means to pour out, pour down, split, flow away, fall, ran, trickle down, shed. Alright? To pour down, run, flow, pour down, to be poured, to be split, to pour oneself, flow, trickle, to vanish, to be stretched out, to pour down, to melt. Alright? Figuratively speaking, these things they can all be applied to you, so-called Nagar, right? Nagar, right? This is crazy, right? So-called Negro. I mean, look at this shit. Right? Nagar. Nagar. Alright? Nagar. Nagar, 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 nagar. That's exactly what we're looking at, right? Alright. Now let's continue on. Now here we have the word Karash, right? Karash. Karash means to peace, plow, devise, keep silence, keep silence, keep silence. Peace, plow, devise, keep silence, hold tongue, keep silence, hold tongue. All together, plowman, cease, conceal, conceal, right? Cease, conceal, deaf to ear, right? Graven, graven, imagine. Keep this in mind, right? Graven. But trick on this. Keep silence, right? Keep silence, hold tongue. Keep silence, hold tongue, right? Karash, right? Karash. Keep silence, hold tongue, all right? To cut in, plow, engrave, devise. To cut in, engrave. To plow, devise, right? To be plowed. To plot evil. Right? To be silent, to be dumb, speechless, deaf. Whoa, right? Right up under to plot evil. All right? It says to be silent, to be deaf, to be silent, keep quiet. What is this? What is this reminding you of, right? What is this reminding you of? To keep quiet, right? To keep quiet. Now, when we were digging on this word, it said that it can mean what? Stoneworker or mason, right? Stoneworker or mason. And was it back here? No. Where is it at? Maybe not that one. Right here, right? The language of the Freemasons. So you see what's going on, right? The language of the Freemasons. So we're digging on this tecton, right? Which reminded me of tecton, right? Of autochton, right? This tecton that really means mason, right? Mason, right? And they want to use the word what? Nagar, or they avoided using the word Nagar, right? Nagar, and they chose to use this word Karash, right? This Karash word. See, they used the word Karash to replace this Nagar, right? They didn't want that Nagar in there, right? So, they hit you with that. And when we look it up, it's telling you that the word means to keep silence, to hold tongue, right? I mean, this is basically Freemasonry, right? What would be considered Masonry, right? The language of the Masons. So basically, they hijacked your culture and then used it against you. They kept the secrets. They keep your secrets against you, which is why some folks don't know which direction to go because they're not studying enough. Honestly, You're not getting to know you. You're not getting to know what's yours. You're not connecting to what you should be connecting to. But honestly, these people then took your very practice and kept it secret, silent from you. And they took an oath to hold their tongue so that you may never find it. Right? You may never find your language of light. All right? Because they don't want you to have your mind dealing with what? They don't want the mind from the alphabetic forms emerge from luminous flare patterns of the brain. They don't want that happening. Right? They don't want that happening. Furthermore, we're talking about graving. Right? Graving. Now, I'm going to show you why that means something, engrave. Right? Because this whole time we've been talking about what? Ancient petroglyphs, right? The language of light. This is what we're talking about. The language of light, right? So let's continue. So here we have the word glyph, right? Glyph. We have, it's not going to let me do it. Glyph, right? Ornamental groove in the sculpture or architecture, all right? It says to hollow out, cut out with a knife, right? Engrave, carve. Also to note down, right? On tablets. To note down on tablets, right? To note down on tablets. To cut, slice, tear apart, right? To cut, slice, tear apart. Now, keep that in mind, right? Because it says to note down on tablets, right? To note down on tablets. Sculpted mark or symbol, okay? Sculpted mark or symbol. And we're talking 432. Okay, geometric shapes, right? Cones, geometric cones, right? We're just talking dimensions, right? So, glyph, all right? Glyph. Now, this sounds a lot like Karash, right? To cut in, engrave, right? To cut in, engrave. Glyph, right? To cut out, to carve, to note down, right? A carve. We're talking about masonry, right? Masonry. To conceal, right? To not speak. So you purposely kept your culture hidden, right? From those that were not like you. You purposely were silent, right? And you kept it to yourself. And you put it on stone. And you were silent about it. Right? Which is why they hid it. They hid this from you because they knew you I mean, come on, they still call you nagger today, right? So they know who you are. Right? As the originals. And then they call themselves what? The Freemasons, right? The Freemasons. And they speak your language of light, which they never want you to find, right? Because then you get back into doing these glyphs, right? You get back to connecting your mind to this, which is the 432, right? Shout out to the tribe, right? Are y'all with me? Are you with me? Wakey, wakey. Let's get to the next one. All right, here we got some Anasazi Petroglyphs. And we're just going to, see where obviously Google provides us, right? And we can see this is all different types, right? All different types. Let's see what we got, right? There's all kind of different stuff. And it's being led that this is the language of light. Alright. See the spiral. Just keep all that in mind. The spiral, right? It's always going to lead back to something like that, right? Keep those in mind. Right. So yeah, I mean, there's tons of petroglyphs. Y'all can come on here and check them out. Right. It goes on and on. But we're digging on some petroglyphs, right? The Anasazi. I want you to check out one more with me. This is called the Judah Kulara, right? I just thought that was interesting right there, right? And it's a soapstone, right? With quarry scars and petroglyphs. And this is basically in Jackson County, which is in the Tuskegee River in the mountains of North Carolina. So if you really know this channel, then you really know what this means, because I mean, we basically brought it right back home, right? Right back home to the Anasazi, right? The Anasazi. I mean, we're talking about the Cherokee, right? The Chawaki. Shouts out to the brethren Hiram Martin. It's real consistent with that water flow. Much of high, fam. You just consistency makes it easy to just speak, because I know, the bros, I know the tribe is consistent, you know what I'm saying? But here you are, right? Here you are. So we got the connection, right? This Judah Kula stone to the Cherokees, right? And we're talking about petroglyphs, right? This language of light, signs of the first people since, the first times. What the ancient Egyptians referred to as what? The Zep Tepi, right? The Zep Tepi, the first times. All right. So this is the Judah Kula stone, right? I'm gonna go ahead and blow it up real quick. This is what it looks like, right? In Cherokee territory. Alright, so it always connects. Like I said, everything happens for a reason. So I hope this, presentation is working something within, you know what I'm saying? I hope the creator is reaching out to you through me. And you know what I'm saying? I hope it's doing something. Shalom. We're gonna get to the next one. In the Library of Sophia, right? Philosophia is a book that contains letters in the form of symbols, glyphs, keys, and key codes. Right? Key codes. These have been created from light, black fire on white fire to create fire letters. Right? Which is why I told you, if you haven't caught the bro Teach Me to Be Priestly's last couple of videos, you should really go back and catch them right now, because you really have no time with it. What time it is if you haven't, surfed those last two drops. You're now looking at the connection in pure water, right? I mean, I could barely talk, right? It says this book has within its pages of equal small squares, and each a perfectly placed symbol, all different, very neat and very precise. These are used to create words that build, right? Words that build. The letters are extracted from symbols that represent sacred geometry and many that show rudimentary shapes of all ancient languages. It says the Berber, right? Keep this in mind. Berber, right? The Arabic. Abjad is very close to this. It says the lines, symbols, and shapes, when combined and overlaid each other, create a unique glyph, right? There goes that glyph again. So really, they really took your ancient culture, your ancient heritage, right? Which was that of this thing they want to call masonry, and they brought it with the hijack, right? They brought it with the hijack of this Luciferian religion of the promotion of Yahweh, right? Which really is the source of all your pain. We're going to continue to really dig into this if you guys, are with it. If you guys want me to continue, go ahead and let me know. You know what I'm saying? Let the tribe know. And, I definitely, know that it's worth, the effort. But this is the source of your pain right here. All right. So they hijacked you, and replaced your true masonry, which is that of these glyphs, this creation, this, language of light of the creator. Right. They replaced it with this Luciferian stuff. Right. And we all know what the dark side to the occult is, right? We know what that life's about. So they hyper promote that, right? Everywhere, to make the scene that that's the only side to everything, when really this is it right here, right? It says a unique glyph that has the power to build or create the object they represent. The glyph has meaning in it, that it becomes a blueprint or tool to build the form of matter. It is an electromagnetic keyword. The word is transportable. It can be moved and placed in any time, any space, in any universe, in any dimension. The word can be passed from one to another. It can be understood and reproduced. They are unlimited in their use and potential. They allow all who understand their power to create from choice of free will. The letters form the absolute universal creator's language. Bang. All right, I had to, hit the break one time. You know what I'm saying? But it says that words created from the language are multidimensional, created across many dimensions, differing vibrations of electromagnetic energy. They can only be created and evoked by a creator being that has mastered all the relevant dimensions and frequency range of vibrations. So this is what all this vibration and all this is talking about, okay? I need you guys to really put this into perspective and, just let it, digest into your mental as necessary. It says, knowledge of the fire letters can create pyramids and crumble mountains. Knowledge of the fire letters can create pyramids and crumble mountains. Each word composed from the language cannot be misinterpreted. They have the same concept everywhere in the universe. They cannot be used or thought in any other way than they are. The language is immutable. It remains permanent and constant. This is the language of spiritual and physical laws and creation. It is the language that creates gravity and forces, that holds together atoms, that makes stars burn and planets spin. This is the language of DNA. The set of language codes that describe the whole blueprint from the first atom to the last fingerprint. It is the universal language that creates and holds together every part of consciousness. It is the equations of form and of matter itself. Right? It says Mandela's geometry, alchemy, crop circles all contain elements of the fire letters combined into words. When each have within every circle of our bodies the ability to unlock the fire letters, our senses understand the words and translate them. They do not need to be spoken or written. They can be seen, they can be heard, they can be tasted, be felt, and be brought to consciousness awareness. They can generate feelings, emotions, and memories which are universal. They speak to every being in the universe in one language. They are each of a vibration that can be understood by all. If we still our minds, our higher self will talk to us using this language. The language creates form itself. We are the spoken word created by the breath of intelligence and particles of the matter. Alpha and Omega, Hawa, Hawa, Hawa is the created word. Hawa, right? Hawa. All matter is the word of Hawa. Hawa. If you've been on this channel, you've known this is exactly what we've been punching at. All right, my bro, getting to the root of it all, has been trying to say this exactly. All right, the tribe has been trying to say this exactly. The 432 right here, is this exactly. All right. Shout out to the sis that hooked me up with this link. And we're going to go ahead and continue. I like to share this scripture with y'all really quick. And let's get to it. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of Hawa, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said that the Most High came from Sinai and rose up from Seir. Unto them he shined forth from the Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand, and went a fiery law for them. Right? From his right hand. Remember how I told you to keep this in mind? His right hand, right? You'll see what I'm talking about right now. Watch. Alright, so here it is again, right? Thy right hand. Earlier from when we were talking about what? The Song of Moses. See, I opened up with the Song of Moses, right? Because, you know, I knew I had just introduced Timeless, right? But all of this is interconnected. If you can understand what I've been, you know, basically, pushing out on this channel, when you go back and listen to For Free, right? From intro to end, you understand that For Free was about this entire time, right? And, like I said, I got the drop on the music as well. I'm going to be trying to, I'm going to work on the next one as soon as I'm done with this one. And, right, this is the Song of Moses. So, the Israelites and Moses sang this very song right here. All right, all the way down to 21. All right, this is a song. All right, this is a song. So we got songs, and yeah, I did my part. So, Israel's supposed to sing too. All right. The children of Israel supposed to sing too. And, the brethren is give us a home to uplift our voices at, 432thedrop.com. Y'all got to get over there and make sure, y'all get it in, because, this is what we were supposed to do. All right. And as we see in the next one, right, says that he came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand, right, and a fiery law went for them. All right, hold on real quick. All right, so we see from his hand went a fiery law, right, a fiery law, and we were just digging on the fire letters, right. So this fiery law went for them, right? Yeah, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet, and everyone shall receive of thy words. And Moses commanded us a law, and even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. All right? So I want to share that scripture with y'all, because it's even right here with the fiery law, right? The petroglyphs. This is telling you, right, that your original heritage is what they want to call Masonry, right? But they hijacked it. They hijacked it with this Luciferian, right? Like we said, they hijacked you with where is it at? With the Luciferian, right? Rebellion. And then they're now promoting Yahweh all over your face. You know what I'm saying? And for those who don't know, there's a lot of work the tribe's been going in, check out, Brother Hiram's channel. You know what I'm saying? Dig on all that. He's been letting you know the deception of this Jesus guy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to get out of the hijack. All right. But this is where your pain is at, right here. This is where your pain is at. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and continue, and we're getting ready to close out. So let's get to it. Now, we should already know that, the hijack has their hand on everything. So this is not to promote the hijack's belief. This is, basically to grasp the understanding of where I'm going. All right. Now it says that the Jewish tradition has its own way of describing this fact about biblical narrative. Right. It says the ancient rabbis spoke of the so-called Bible as having been written in black fire and white fire. The black fire are the words on the page of the ink of the letters, which each of us can see and read. The words or written words are like all words, slippery and capable of meaning many things. The words stand before us as given. They are fixed in the canonized text, right? They can be analyzed, looked up in dictionaries, understood in context, and they cannot be altered, right? The white fire is the space between the words on the page or scroll, the space around the words, even the space between the letters. Because of the commandment against the making of graven images, Judaism does not develop a tradition of religious arts and illustration as a response to the white fire. That impulse to illustrate, explain, and imagine took place in words, in what began as an oral commentary on the Bible and gradually passed into writing and formed into a body of secret material called the Midrash. So this is what I said, right, in my last drop. If you haven't went to go see it, if you haven't seen it, go back and check it now. I said that because this was my feeling, my innate feeling that we didn't necessarily need to write. And now it's being proved by this white fire and black fire that this is the case. All right. You know what I'm saying? I told my bros, right? I remember I was talking to the bro J Stu, and he asked me like, what was the direction? You know what I'm saying? What was my feel? And I told him like it wasn't me necessarily trying to say that I was a so-called Levite or I felt like a Levitical or one like I teach, you know what I'm saying? But I think now it's safe to say that this is just in us, you know what I'm saying? I think the Johnson name that flows through the vein is clear enough evidence, you know what I'm saying? I think that Anahuia, that fire priesthood is now evident. All right. No hijack, no Yahweh. Let's get out of here. Let's get ready to close this up. Here we have this breakdown on the fire letters, right? It says each DNA strand corresponds to a fire letter or fire code built upon electromagnetic impulses of sound arranged in pattern sequences. Each fire letter corresponds to a dimensional frequency band of consciousness in the universal tree of life, or the 12 tree grid. Collectively, all the fire letter code sequences correspond to the 12 DNA strand matrix, which is the original genetic construction code of the human species. All right. It says fire letters are key codes at our DNA structure level that will be rekeyed to have access into these newly accessed higher reality light fields, multi-dimensional timelines, and this is starting to occur in our subatomic layers, starting to drill down into our molecules and into our physical cellular form. Our physical selves are being rewired now, and our energetic template selves are to be re-encrypted with master key codes that access upgraded fire letter instruction sets. We are being introduced to the new elements from the new earth that are specifically here to begin to assist in the redesigning of our current biology by the new Earth Elemental Command and so-called Aurora races. All right. And like I said about the vector codes, right? And like it says, the time vectors are time codes, which relate to fire codes or fire letters, which are a direct part of activating planetary and human DNA. All right. Through the activation of fire codes in DNA, one shifts timelines, one can bypass timelines, one can eliminate destructive timelines, and one may remember or view cellular memories in other timelines. Now, I've been saying this entire thing throughout my whole channel, period, throughout all this, work. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell y'all it was unknowingly, because obviously we're learning that it was these fire letters that I was connected through the Torah, which is the only way you can establish this, through the Torah. You can only find this balance through the Torah. All right, that's it. The original human DNA pattern is arranged into the 12 dimensionalized mathematical programs, each of which set the blueprint of one DNA strand. Each strand is composed of 12 base magnetic Mayan female codes and 12 base electrical Dion male acceleration codes. The 12 base codes and the 12 acceleration codes hold the mathematical program for each double helix strand, which combine to form a set of 12 vector codes. One base code plus one acceleration code is equal to one vector code. All right, and it breaks down from there. Okay, so your 12 strands of DNA. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this all connects, right? And as you can see right here, they even have this tab for the diamond sun, right? Hard body like a diamond. I just feel timeless, because, I mean, this is how I felt, all right? So now y'all know. You know what I'm saying? Now y'all know. And like I said, if you haven't really peeped out for free, go to the bros, site, 432 the radio, or 432 the drop.com. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, just peep it when you can. You know what I'm saying, fam? It's there. If not, it's on the channel, at least the video we just put out. But it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on the next presentation right now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go ahead and close this one up, so we can get to that. And I just want to leave y'all with a couple of more images. All right, so let's go. All right, so we seen the Judacola rock, right? That was related to the Anasazi of North Carolina. We're now looking at an Olmec petroglyph. All right, and this is just the face of the Olmec petroglyph. And as we can see, it's just a common relation that the Olmecs would have with the Cherokee as well. So as we get into this next presentation, I'm going to be putting on you guys. We're going to be showing the cultural affinities, or the relationships between the Olmec and the ancient Cherokee. All right, and basically the whole tribes of the southeast region of the so-called United States. And yeah, this is just an image of the petroglyph, and these are supposed to be the remnants, right? Those who were here when Atlantis was thriving. All right, so we got one more picture to get into, and we're gonna ride out. All right, so this is the site, right? The one article that we were checking out that mentioned that the Egyptians called the first times, right, the Zet Tepi, and it said that the mysterious group of gods, right, that appeared to Egypt and Quetzalcoatl and the people of the Americas and so-called Egypt. So they were remnants of the high-tech civilization that was left right after Atlantis so-called vanished. I want to go ahead and show something here, because we've been digging on glyphs, right, and symbols this entire time in this language of light, right? Well, let's check this out, right? Here we have basically a comparison of alphabets and glyphs between Africa and America, right? And we're looking at the Libyan, which is basically that I think it said the Berbers, right? where were we reading it? I think it was here. Nah, not here. I can't remember, necessarily, but we were covering something about the Berbers, and I told you to keep that in mind, because this is the reason why I wanted to, to bring this back up. This Libyan right here would be the Berber connection, right? So it said that this language of light was basically the Berber connection. Let me see. I think it's in this one. Maybe, right? No. Well, it's in one of these articles. But yeah, it was saying about the Berbers, right? So just check out the symbology, right? This is the letter A, or ear, right? And just check how this is the American side, right? And this is the Libyan side. And look at the symbols. Compare them, right? Hand, compare, just this side versus this side, that side versus this side, right? And I mean, I'm not trying to be a certain way, but it seems like these were more original than, these two. Alright, I mean, maybe I can be wrong, but it seemed that way. Alright? And it just made me think about, the article we came off of with which one was it? Let me find it for you real quick. So it reminded me of this article right here, how it mentioned that Enoch was the inventor of the first alphabet and calendar, right? Of the astronaut, of history's first astronaut that was taken, right? And basically they came back with the weights and measurements for all mankind, or humankind, right? And I mean, check this out, right? We got the it just seems like this would be the original language when you compare it to this, right? These two, word for word, right? All the way down. But this is the American, right? And again, we got glyphs, letters, glyphs, right? Appreciate everybody that's been in the natural zone. I'm gonna get to my notes. I hope this has been a great presentation, and shout out to everybody that's basically helped put this together. And yeah, I guess tribe up. I'm working on this next presentation right now. I'm getting to it, so look out for that one. Shalom.